back with another episode of Off the Pitch with myself, Lane Dayton, and my co-host, Daniel Rowley. It was the international break, so there's really not a heck of a lot to talk about. We're at the controversy between Portugal and Serbia, the Ronaldo goal or no goal, and England's class starting lineup against Albania and the questionable lineup against San Marino, which two really easy wins. We'll talk about that and some Premier League tables and standings right after this. Well, there was the game between Portugal and Serbia that ended up being 2-2 draw in the World Cup qualifying for Qatar. Do you think it was a goal or no goal for Cristiano Ronaldo that would have given the win?
I think it was a goal looking at the replays, and to be fair, even watching it live, for me it was a goal all day long. We got the visual up there now. So Serbia's defender managed to clear it off the line, they said. It didn't help with no goal line technology or VAR being used in the qualifiers. Why it's not used, I've no clue, because it's not like they've got no money in World Club football. But yeah, even from the angle the linesman will have been at, it's obviously over the line. I mean, I know the post's in the way, but you see the ball behind the net. Even in the heat of the moment when it went straight in, you could see it across the line fully, and it was just unfortunate for Ronaldo, really. I mean, he got a yellow card for going and appealing, or I say appealing, he was quite up in the linesman's face, I won't lie. And fair yellow card, you can't do it, but in fair due to him as well, he was more than right to protest it. It was a goal all day long, and I don't blame him chucking the armband to the floor and having a bit of a strop. It could knock Portugal out of the competition in reality. Like, I mean, we probably knows it's not going to happen, but there's always a chance that it could. And if it went down to that decision, I know there'd be a lot of words being said and thrown around. But yeah, it's just unfortunate for Portugal, really. They were the better team the full game. Serbia played well, and fair play to them. The two goals they got were very good goals. But for the most part, it was Portugal's game. They shouldn't have let Serbia get back into it. But yeah, they were unfortunately robbed of that one a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we've harped on about refs quite a lot this year, but I mean, we have to say that was a terrible decision. I mean, I don't know why they're not using goal decision system. Like, it's an easy system to put in play. You just set it up on a goal. They use it all the time in the Premier League, and we harp about Premier League refs, and they get that spot on for like the only thing they get right, sadly, these days. But I don't blame Ronaldo to run over to the second official on the side, because it was clearly over the line, like you said, as we can see in the visual here. It's over the line. I mean, you don't need much more evidence to say it's in. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's got to be clear and obvious, but it looks pretty clear and obvious to us. I mean, like you said, if this knocks out Portugal out of the competition and doesn't let them go to the World Cup, this is going to be a huge talking point. If Serbia make it and another team from the group get in, and we see Portugal and Ronaldo somehow don't make it, I could see this being taken to court or something with the FA or for FIFA, because that's full, like you said, all the money they have, and they don't have VAR or GDS system. It's kind of a joke. Like, you got all this money in FIFA football these days, and they're not using it for simple things. It makes no sense to me, and I completely agree with you that yes, it should be a goal, and Portugal were robbed of 3 points. Do you think this Portugal team can challenge for the World Cup and the Euros this year in London?
I mean, the team they've got, they should be. But letting a team like Serbia come back to 2-0 is rough. And not to take any credit away from Serbia, they played amazingly for the most part. But like a team like Portugal, you got Ronaldo, David Silva, Ruben Diaz. You shouldn't be letting anyone get past them in attack and defence. And in fairness to Portugal, both goals are incredible from them as well. Really well done goals. The ball from David Silva was an incredible assist. They should be scoring goals. They should have put more past Serbia. But we know any day, any team can beat anyone if they just come out with it. But yeah, realistically, Portugal should be doing well. I think if they get a bit of form, a bit of international form running up to it, I think they can definitely challenge for that the Euros. And we'll have to see what happens with the World Cup. But if Ronaldo's going to make it his last one or not, I don't know if he's come out and said for sure yet. But they can definitely challenge for the Euros, 100%. Yeah,
you think they got what it takes to beat England? You never know. England might win it too.
I'd love to see England win it. I won't lie. As an Englishman, I'd kill to see them win it in my lifetime. Do I think they will? Can they keep up form? Is Southgate the right man? Nobody's going to know until it happens. England have proven on the day they can be an unbelievable team to play against, but they've also proven that we could just get beat about by any other team as well. So we've just got to see how it happens. When it comes down to the competition, anything can happen in competition days. So we just got to see and hope for the best.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree. I think this Portugal team has what it takes. You got Bruno Fernandes sitting behind Ronaldo. I mean, you've seen all the memes about Bruno only scoring 2 goals in like 24 appearances. Like, who's got the penalties? Yeah. It's a good joke. But you got Bernardo Silva. You got Ruben Dias now, who's an emerging star. You got
David. I was saying David.
Yeah, like the great team they got here, and Ronnie Lopes in net, and there's so much talent on the field. Like, no one really talks about Portugal. They're kind of a quiet underdog, just like Belgium always are. And no one really speaks to them. It's always England, France, Spain, Germany, and Brazil. And then you got teams like Portugal, Belgium, Argentina coming out of nowhere. But I think this team could win the Euros again. It would be quite even more of emotional moment for Ronaldo if he can win it while being in the side instead of watching the sideline and jumping around and coaching like he did last time when they beat France. But it'd be interesting to see. But we saw Boris Johnson a couple months ago say he's willing to host all of the Euros in England, which was quite a remarkable statement from him with the coronavirus going on and everything like that. Do you think that's a possibility, or would you like to see that happen?
I'd like to see it happen for a number of reasons. One, I think it'd be great for our country. We've all about fans there. But for two, I think for the most important reason, with COVID, it stops as much travel. I mean, obviously, yeah, there is travel in and around the country, but it's more, you can contain it a little bit more. If you're going into airports and stuff, although, yeah, we all know players will wear masks, it's just... And I think even though it's only Europe, where realistically, yeah, it's not far apart from each other, jet lag can still play an impact. Yeah. If you think, I don't doubt if it is in all Europe, there will be one day where maybe a team's got a game and then that night they've got to get a flight to another city in Europe. Could be like, it could be playing in England and next day, like that night, they've got to get a flight to Spain, Germany, Poland. It's a lot to ask of players. Yeah. And I think it is quite rough. I think it's a great idea, branching it out in all of Europe. But at the same time, I think Boris Johnson, fair play to him for holding his hands up. But I'd love to see it. Do I think it'll happen? Probably not, because all the other countries would complain about it. But yeah, it'd be good.
I think it's probably a smart decision on the part of the Euros and FIFA. I think it'd be brilliant to have it in one country. You don't got to worry about coronavirus. All this big problem just goes out the window. You hold it at Wembley, Old Trafford, a couple other stadiums, you're fine. Like, I think it's a great idea. Probably the best decision Boris Johnson's made since he's been a prime minister. Yeah, I mean, it'd be great for England, bringing a lot of revenue back into the country after the past year for you guys. I mean, I would be on my first flight down there if I could. If it got held down there, I'd be staying at your place going to the final. If we get a ticket, those would be a lot of money. Yeah. But let's give our prediction on who we think might win the Euros or who could be a shock team. Who do you think is your number one bet to win the Euros here?
It's a tough one. Like I say, as an Englishman, I could never say England won't win it. I've always got my hopes. But I think France still just looks so strong. I think the team they've got is just unbelievable. And they've got the youth coming through it as well. So it's not like they've got all these experienced players. I don't want to say like Portugal, but Portugal have got quite a few experienced players now. They're aging a little bit, where like France have still got all these players that are still either young. They've got a couple old players in there like Lloris. But they've got the young talent coming through that can easily replace it. Edouard Mendy. Ilian Meslier. Say again?
The goalie plays for Senegal.
Yeah, the goalie that plays for them. I think there's just so much options they can look at as well. Yeah, you can't take France out of it. I think they're going to be up there. I think for England, I think the big thing for us winning it is maybe an easy run-up like we had in the World Cup, hoping for a nice draw. I don't know. It all goes down to injuries as well at the end of the day. Internationals can get hit a lot more by injuries than a club game can. Look at it in this sense. You take Harry Kane out of the England squad, you take Mbappe out of the France squad, you take Ronaldo out of the Portugal squad. Although all those teams can still win without those players, it's a huge hit. Lewandowski's out for the next Poland game against England. I was very nervous coming up to that game in a sense. I mean, I don't get nervous for internationals too much, but you sort of worry like, right, we beat San Marino. England have never not beat San Marino by 5 goals or more, so you sort of know you're kind of going to be comfortable there. Albania, you sort of know, right, it's Albania. Yeah, there's not too much to worry about. And then you come in and you got Poland, and you know Poland, they've got a good squad. You got Lewandowski, Mateusz Klisz, all these other players in there, so you know they can be a contender when they want to be. But taking Lewandowski out, that just makes it a little bit more comfortable. But yeah, this is my point of view. It can just come down to injuries. Injuries play a huge part. But I think for me, France and England, I'd love to see in the final. I'll say that much. I can't say England won't win because I can never back my team not to win. But I would say a France and England final would probably be how I'd predict it to go.
Well, I was going to say France, but I'll give an objective point of view. I'll go with Germany. I feel like Timo Werner could hit some form under Thomas Tuchel here. I think he could come into the Euros firing, hopefully for this Germany side, because without him up top, they really got nobody. They got some good wingers, Serge Gnabry, Leroy Sané. I mean, if teams are coming up against them, good luck keeping up with that pace. Werner, Gnabry, and Sané, that's got to be the fastest front three in the world. And then you got a midfield of Ilkay Gundogan, which no one's going to be thinking about him, but he's been popping in goals.
He's been real at the minute.
Yeah. I think he's on 13 now in 2021, and we're only almost at the end of March. It's unbelievable what he's doing. And then you got Joshua Kimmich sitting behind Gundogan, and you got Leon Goretzka, and you still have Thomas Muller you got to fit in somewhere there. So you might be putting Kimmich right back. And you still got experienced players like Mats Hummels, Jerome Boateng, Ter Stegen, Neuer. Like this team's not getting a look compared to you. Everyone's talking about France, Belgium, Spain, Portugal, England, and Germany's kind of just left behind because they got no one's really talking about much. But they've won a World Cup. They're experienced. They still got young, talented players. They're fast, clinical. I'm gonna say Germany, but like you said, it all depends on injuries and the draw. Like literally, Germany could get a tough game right out of the bat. They could play France, they could play England, and they could get an upset. Like, you never know what can happen in the Euros. Football on its day, it's a weird sport. And I think I'll give my second team to win it. I'm not going to say England or France like you. Will change it up. And I'm going to say Belgium. I feel like they'll pull something out of the bag. Maybe Hazard might get a miraculous save from injury for once. Who knows? Maybe he'll use an injury card like he's playing FIFA, because he seems like he just can't stay out of the hospital for some reason or on crutches. He's always hobbling around, Eden Hazard, these days. And then you got Lukaku up top, which Lukaku on his day, he could win you a game on his own. If he's firing, he's firing. Like we've seen that for Inter Milan. He's just playing top of his game right now. They're going to win the Scudetto in Italy more than likely. They got a good lead at first place. That could build on his confidence going into the Euros, which would be great for Belgium. Like, they're number one in the world, which I don't know how they got ranked number one in the world. But, yeah, like, you got Lukaku. You still got Vertonghen, Alderweireld. Like, you still got an experienced player like Dries Mertens up top, too. They got some really good players, and they could be an underdog going into this tournament, which is weird to say the number one ranked team by FIFA is an underdog, which makes no sense. Yeah. Which I don't know how they're an underdog, like how they're number one. They maybe my top 10 in the world, but I don't know. It's weird how FIFA ranks these nations these days.
FIFA doesn't know what they're doing when it comes to me and you see it enough laying on FIFA, the game and stuff. Some of the ratings, some of these players come out. You got world class players on stupid ratings, but it's all what it comes down to. Should be good. Should be good to see. I do reckon Germany are there. It's everyone's affordable ultimate team, as we'd probably say, is Germany. They've got an unreal squad, and yeah, like you say, even I just then, like, you sort of forget about them. they're always there, but they never notice too much. But they've got an unreal squad, and yeah, Belgium could easily challenge if they want Belgium on the day, easily.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think a lot of people are probably forgetting about Germany because Joachim Löw just stepped down, and then you had them losing the World Cup last time to South Korea, Mexico, and I don't even remember what the other team was. It was just a heartbreak for Germany, and it was sad to see. But after the break, we're going to talk about England and their 2 games against San Marino and how we think they're going to fare in the Euros, upcoming World Cup, and our predicted lineup for England right after this. Well, I know you probably weren't too scared of England going into these 2 games against San Marino and Albania. It's pretty weird to say. 7-0 on aggregate, 2-0 win against Albania, 5-0 win against San Marino. I snapped you and said San Marino hitting form. They finally got a draw last game before coming in playing you guys. Actually typical. And you guys battered them, which was obviously going to happen. But what do you think of this game from England, the lineup that they put out against Albania and San Marino?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of a lineup, it was one of the most porous lineups we've probably ever seen for England. But at the same time, it's like you're giving all the substitute players a good run out. Let them try it out. We got here, that's the lineup for the Albania game. That was a fairly good lineup. I quite liked that. I liked what Southgate had gone for. He played Phillips in his actual position for once, which as a Leeds fan made me so happy. Because Southgate's been prone to putting Phillips in a pure centre midfield, and Phillips it's not his position. He can play there, but he's not as good. He's not as effective. So he sort of played Phillips in that sort of drop back position, so it was good. The Albania lineup, I actually really like it. I feel like that's something we could see for the Euros. Personally, I'd take Maguire out of that.
Rashford.
Yeah, I'd probably play. I won't lie. I probably would play Foden in midfield and stick Rashford up front. As a Leeds fan, I'd be biased and say I'd get rid of Declan Rice put Foden there and get Rashford on. But I know a lot of people would probably say keep Rice on, get Phillips off for Rashford, and put Foden back at midfield. I'd take it. I think it'd be a good lineup. But yeah, I'd take Maguire out and just put anyone else in there. Maybe put Shaw in and bring Trippier out. There's plenty of options we got for the centre backs at the minute. But yeah, the lineup we put up against San Marino is like you know it's awful, but you know it's gonna be awful. San Marino have never, as I said earlier, England have never beat San Marino by less than 5 goals. And it's so but it's unfortunate. In an honest opinion, as an England fan and as a football fan, there shouldn't be games like that. I know I've said it before, like any team can beat anyone on any given day. It just depends what happens when they get on that pitch. And I know before San Marino have come out and they put 1 goal past England, which actually knocked us out of, I can't remember if it was the Euros or the World Cup. It was against David Seaman. England won the game 7-1, which was a stupid result, but because San Marino put that 1 goal behind them, they knocked England out the cup. And it was there was a documentary just shortly back in England where Harry Redknapp he got all together the team again and made them go play San Marino. And this guy that had scored against England was just a shopkeeper. He was just it was like playing Sunday League football, yeah, just a shopkeeper. But because he'd scored against David Seaman, he was the best person in the town, and they all loved him. And he'd never let anyone live it down. Like, he absolutely loved it. And fair play to him. And you want to give those kind of teams that. Like, he was amazed, like, because he'd just been able to score against David Seaman, which a team like, I don't know, your Germanys or your France's, scoring against David Seaman's next to nothing. But a team like San Marino, they got England out of the cup. So, I mean, they can cause an upset, but San Marino didn't get through either. So it's just like, as a football fan, games like that are just boring to watch. Like, you know you're going to go in it and you know you're going to win it comfortably. Like, why are England getting put in qualifying against Albania and San Marino? Like, it's pointless. And no discredit to San Marino, but for anyone that knows them, that team doesn't have a single professional player. They're all semi-professionals. So most of them are factory workers or shop workers. It's like you're putting them up against people that get paid that are worth like £80 million, like Harry Maguire, and no doubt Harry Kane might be worth 100+ million. It's like, and I mean, I'm not saying Harry Maguire is worth 80 million, but you're up against like players that are worth £100 million, and these guys probably aren't worth a fiver down in the shop. Like, I just don't see the point of it. I feel like it's a waste for England. I feel like it's a waste for San Marino. Every game England have played against them, they put 5 goals past them. That's just boring for them. Who wants to, like, and don't get me wrong, one time in the far future, San Marino probably will eventually beat England, but I can't see it happening anytime soon. It's just, it's a waste of time in my eyes. But touching again back on the lineups for England, that lineup there that we've got on screen is something I would enjoy seeing. Potentially Henderson over Pope. I feel like he needs to prove himself a little bit more, but Pope has been quality in net for us at the minute. Can't say a bad word. I mean, he hasn't had Cristiano Ronaldo up front trying to score against him. He's had, I don't want to say it, but a nobody from San Marino and a nobody from Albania. So it'll be interesting to see, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it was a quality performance from England, obviously. I mean, like you said, they're playing San Marino. I mean, you're obviously going to put 4 or 5 past San Marino. They're a terrible outfit. Like, they allow goals like nobody's business. Like you said, they're semi-professional footballers. It's like me playing men's league in Prince Albert or Saskatoon. You're just playing guys like that. Division 1 Saskatoon men's league players are basically the same thing as playing San Marino, basically. Like, me or you could get into San Marino's team. It's a disgrace that England have to play them, like you said. It just shouldn't be happening. Albania, San Marino, and teams like Gibraltar and stuff like that should be grouped in their own sector, and they should be playing their own tournament. I don't know. It's a waste of a game for England. Like, even Pope, like, you're not doing anything. Pope could have set up a tent and have a nap. Like, it's disrespectful to play a team like that. Like, I don't know. I don't see the point, like you say, like, to go out and play a team like San Marino, but it gets to be a joke. You gotta really question what the Euros are doing here to set up Albania, San Marino, and a group of England, because it's just not a game at this point anymore. Like, it's stupid. But I want to talk about the lineup, like you said. I think it was a great lineup in this Albania game. I mean, it wouldn't be my preferred lineup. You got Sterling at the right wing. You got Kane at striker up middle. And then Foden playing off the left wing, which he's played for Man City a couple times, taking over Rashford's position right now since Rashford's out with an injury. You got Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips and Mason Mount in midfield. It's pretty good midfield. Wouldn't be my preferred choice, but it is good all-around midfield. It's a good choice from Gareth Southgate. Close enough to what I would go with. And then you got Luke Shaw left back, who I would choose. Kyle Walker right back, Harry Maguire with John Stones, questionable back two, but I mean, you don't really have anyone else you can go with. And you have Nick Pope in net, which I think is a great selection by Gareth Southgate, but there is some questions over there. We're going to go through each position in the England lineup since you're back now, but we'll start with goalkeeper. I mean, you could go with it's really Nick Pope, Dean Henderson, or Jordan Pickford, but Jordan Pickford. I mean, he has his days, but who would you go with here? Would you go with Nick Pope, Dean Henderson, or Jordan Pickford? Or maybe there's an outside shout that I'm missing that you want to go with?
Yeah, no, anyone but Jordan Pickford for me. He's a great shot stopper, and you can't take it away from him. But there's so many clumsy mistakes, and he's not good at a lot else. I think Nick Pope or Dean Henderson. The issue is at the minute, Pope's been able to prove himself. Henderson hasn't had as much time to do it. I think give Henderson the chance to fully go through and prove himself. And I think I don't see a qualm. From what I've seen at Man United and Sheffield last season, he's an outstanding young goalkeeper and he's a fresh young talent. I think Pope's just got that little bit more experience than he has. So probably for now I'd say Pope, but give Henderson some more club games under his belt and see where he is from there, and I'd say potentially give him a chance at full time.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen De Gea come back, and Dean Henderson still played a game since De Gea's come back. I mean, all I put it down is jet lag, which I don't believe. I think he wants to give Dean Henderson a run, which I think Dean Henderson's deserved it. He's played very well over the 6-game stretch. He's shown his worth, and I think I say give Dean Henderson a month or a month and a half, and I think he'll earn the England job. And I mean, as we've seen under England's time, usually the bigger clubs get the players to play. It's Burnley or United. Dean Henderson's going to go play as he's a United goalkeeper ahead of Burnley. It's sad to say that sometimes happens, but it does. But I would choose Dean Henderson if he gets a run. But right now, I'd go with Nick Pope. Let's move over to right backs here. I mean, I thought Gareth Southgate would have went with his usual 3-5-2, but I guess he's changing it up. And he's going 4 in the back, which I would go with. I mean, there's Kyle Walker, there's Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Tariq Lamptey, Reece James, Trent Alexander-Arnold. There's abundance of right backs here. I mean, who would you be going with for your Euro squad?
I think Walker's the obvious pick. He's good at both jobs. Wan-Bissaka's fairly good defensively, but he's not got the attacking options that Walker can give to the squad. As a biased Leeds fan, I know we touched on it the other week, I'd say give Luke Ayling his call up. And it's not even me just saying it as a Leeds fan and loving him. He has statistically been the second best defender in the league. And that's not even like English defender, just second best defender in the league for like about 60% of the stats. And for the rest, he's no lower than 4th. I mean, I know it's only his first season in the Premier League. So maybe give him a bit of time to show. But yeah, I mean, as a biased Leeds fan, I wouldn't put him on the starting bit, but I'd say he's an option. But yeah, for me, Walker. I think Trent's very good at attacking, but he's just not got defensively what Walker can offer. And like I said earlier, like Wan-Bissaka's the opposite. He's got defensively, but not the attacking. I feel like Walker's the one player that we've got left that can give both options.
I mean, I can't disagree with you. I mean, you could play Walker center back. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about having Walker on your side. You're playing center back with probably Stones, who I'd play with. But yeah, I'd go with Walker right back. You can't really argue with that. And I'd bring Wan-Bissaka along. And then depending on your matchup, say you're playing in Germany, you're playing Belgium, France, so on. You play your Aaron Wan-Bissaka just to sit back because you know you're going to defend. Play Wan-Bissaka. And then you're playing your small teams like, I don't know, Poland or something. You're going to play Kyle Walker to go on an attack. But, I mean, we kind of figured out the right backs. We agree on that. Kyle Walker. We've agreed on Pope. Let's move to the center back position. Harry Maguire and John Stones. Who do you think's your center back partnership, and do you like those two?
Stones, definitely. Especially, obviously, we've seen it the last couple of seasons. But this season at Man United, he's been outstanding. You've got to have him in your squad. I think Maguire's got to get the call up. But for me, he's just not good enough.
Who's going to play over them, though?
Say again?
Who's going to play over them, though?
Honestly, I thought Cody looked great. I mean, I know we only played San Marino, but I thought Cody looked so composed. He had the captain's armband on, which for not his first cap, but for a fairly new capper, to be the skipper in a game is a big achievement. I think Cody's he's definitely up there. I would play him over Maguire at the minute. It's just centre backs are just they're hard to choose from. I mean, we've got a few other options, but for me, I think Stones and Cody would probably be the go-to now. That, or I know Declan Rice can be dropped back at centre-back position, and that frees up another spot in the midfield for a creative midfielder. But, I mean, yeah, it'd either be, for me, Stones and Cody or Stones and Rice.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree a bit here because I'm a Harry Maguire supporter sometimes and sometimes not. But, I mean, I'd go with the exact same lineup Gareth Southgate chose here for center backs. I'll be going with Stones and Maguire. I mean, you got the connection with Kyle Walker and Stones on the right side, and you got Luke Shaw and Maguire on the one side. You got perfect chemistry at the back. You got your top two teams of the league. I mean, Maguire's going to win everything in the air. We know that. Yes, he's slow. Stones isn't slow. He can catch up to the ball. He's got good pace. Luke Shaw's back there. Kyle Walker's back there. You're fine for pace. I think Maguire's defensive ability is good enough. And, yeah, you're not going to lose much with Maguire. And then if you have guys like Declan Rice, Stones, and you got Nick Pope in the air. Pope ain't losing too many balls in the air. Guy who's 6'7". So I mean, I think you're fine back there. Yeah. So I mean, I'm taking Maguire and Stones. You're taking Connor Cody and Stones. I get that for sure.
Apologies, man.
Yeah, no worries. I wrote it down in our Snapchat. 29:58.
Crushed it.
Up at 31:30.
And that was, we just finished centre backs, right?
Yeah, I'll just say we're going to move on to left backs.
Yeah, Sam.
And then I'll go to you.
Christian?
Yeah, for sure. So we had a bit of disagreement there on center backs. I chose Maguire, you chose Cody, and Stones we agreed on. Makes sense because Stone's been fantastic this year. We'll move on to left backs. I mean, there's not so many options here. I mean, he could play Kieran Trippier because, I mean, Southgate just loves Trippier for some reason that I don't understand besides his free kick abilities. And then you got Luke Shaw. I mean, Ben Chilwell. And there's a couple others. But, I mean, I'm taking Luke Shaw every day. I'm a United fan, but I think he's been the best left back in the world, in my opinion, besides Alphonso Davies. But, I mean, who are you taking here at left back?
No, for sure. The season Shaw's having at the the season Shaw's having at the minute, he's been unbelievable. I don't think you can pick anyone else over him. I mean, Trippier is always there as that option, like you say. He's an attacking option. I don't see him defensively. I mean, I don't see him as much in club level because I don't get to watch the Spanish games a lot of the time. So I mean, I don't know what he's like for Atletico all the time, but I mean, for me, this season it's got to be Shaw. Chilwell needs to do one now. He's shocking. I don't know why he's still getting call-ups. There's so many other better players out there, and I mean, you can even put a central defender in as a left back position, and I'd rather see that over Chilwell. He's not there. He's not there. You look at the quality of the rest of the squad, and then Ben Chilwell gets named. But no, yeah. At the minute, it's got to be Shaw. There's nobody else you can put at the left back position that's on form as much as he is.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree with you there. I mean, we got our back line wrapped up. Nick Pope, goalkeeper. Kyle Walker, right back, with either Connor Cody, Maguire with John Stones paired up, and Luke Shaw at left back. I mean, we've only just agreed on one position so far. And right after a break, we're going to talk about our midfield strikers and give our Premier League predictions to the end of the season standings right after this.
Welcome to Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, your world-class academic and hockey training facility created to maximize each student's athletic and academic potential. Blackjack Stewart Arena, home of the Buffalo, is inside the 46,000 square foot complex, as well as a curling rink and other facilities. The students have a unique combination of successful, well-rounded education at Pilot-Mound Collegiate Institute and the professional hockey training in an encouraging community. The years of experience of on-ice coaching propel our students to the next level, both mentally and physically, in a professional environment.
Well, let's wrap it up with our midfield here. I mean, I'm not sure. I'd rather play two holding midfielders with an attacking midfielder in front of them, or you could play the flat three. But we'll give our predictions to the midfield. Who do you think you would choose for the England squad for your midfield three?
I mean, if we're doing it like Southgate lined up the other night, I think Phillips is the best option for me. Jordan Henderson is great. I think by the time the Euros are coming, he's just come out of injury. He's not worth the risk. All it takes is to put him up, takes another knock to his injury. For his sake and for England's sake, I wouldn't even give him a call up. Or I'd maybe give him a call up, but have him no more as a bench player. Or as I dare say the third player. He's just a huge risk as having, you don't want, say you play Phillips as your starting one. then Henderson's on the bench. Phillips takes an injury and he's off. Henderson now has to start. He's not a 90-minute player at the minute, not straight after injury. If you're playing a defensive one, it's got to be Rice or Phillips. As a biased Leeds fan, I'm going to go for Phillips every day. If Southgate plays him right, the creativity Phillips can make is incredible. And his form in the last 2 games, and again, I will say it, admittedly, it is only Albania and San Marino, but Phillips has been unbelievable in those last 2 games. His passing accuracy has been great. The chances he's creating has been great. In defence, he's been great. So it's got to be Phillips for me there. I think Mount's creativity has got to be there. I don't think there's any other arguments for that. And then I would personally bring Foden back and have Foden in the central midfield as well. We know what he can do for Man City and we know how good he's been for England. Let's keep it that way. He's an unbelievable player and he's going to be arguably one of the world's best if he can keep up the forms on at the minute.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I got some differences with our midfields here. You went for Phillips, Mount, and Foden. I'm going to go for Declan Rice in the Phillips position. I mean, I think he's just better defensively, in my opinion. I think he can win more balls aerially. Creativity-wise, yeah, I give it to Phillips. I mean, Declan Rice still has a long ball on him, but I think Phillips still is better creativity-wise. But I think Rice is just going to sit back there and he's going to win you defensive battles. He's going to play the ball short, keep it simple, and just keep it nice and tidy, which I like about Declan Rice. I think he's a fantastic baller. I mean, Mason Mount, I think you just can't take him out of this team. I think he's an X-factor player. I think he's one of the best center midfielders in the league, in the Premier League. Not an attacking role because it's Bruno and KDB, but I think it's Gundogan and Mason Mount. I think Mount and Gundogan are arguably the best midfielders around the world right now. Mount doesn't get a look in like some people say. There's memes all about him and everything, and midfield's always, Jack Grealish, James Maddison, Phil Foden. I don't know why people don't look at Mason Mount. He's a fantastic player. I mean, you saw Roy Keane came out. You don't usually see many people get plaudits from Roy Keane, and he was saying, he's a tremendous young player. He's fantastic. I'm like, is this really Roy Keane saying this about Mason Mount? Like, it was crazy to see Roy Keane come out with that kind of a statement. But, yeah, I mean, you got to go with Mason Mount. He's good. He can drop back, give you a bit of help defensively with Rice, and he can create chances. He can score goals. He's your all-around midfielder. He's your Paul Scholes, Gerrard, Lampard. Lampard is father, so I mean we got to say he's like Lampard. So I mean, and you went for Foden. I mean, I will say Jack Grealish, but I know Gareth Southgate ain't gonna take Grealish to save his life. I mean, Grealish is an X-factor player. You're not gonna leave him out of any top team. I mean, he's tremendous. You can play him right wing. You can play him behind a striker. He could be like the Sun role to Harry Kane, or you can play him off the left if Rashford somehow gets injured again, sadly. I mean, I'd love to take Jack Grealish, but Southgate, it's not going to happen, sadly. So, I mean, I'd take Foden and do the exact same thing like you said. I mean, Foden's unbelievable what he's done. And it's just crazy to see a player at his age do what he's doing for Man City at a top level like that. And he's not slowing down, which is fantastic to see. I mean, I'll go with Foden, Mason Mount, and Rice, and you're just going for Phillips instead of Rice. So, I mean, we've only disagreed on 2 positions so far in the whole 11, which is kind of cool. We'll go to the front 3 here. We'll just go entire front 3. Who do you think is going to start where, and what do you think is your front 3?
I think for me it's no different to Sterling on the right. I don't think there's any other right winger as good as him. Jadon Sancho's up there. I don't think he can offer what Sterling does. I want to see, as a club perspective, I want to see Jadon Sancho in the Premier League again. I want to see him do it in the Premier League. But, yeah, I think Sterling's better. I think there's no other good right winger. As much as you can compare Sterling, I think he's a far bit ahead of Sancho, in my personal opinion. I definitely put, as much as I hate to say it, Rashford up on that top left. The only other player you could sort of play up there is Grealish. I know he could be an option for that. I wouldn't play him over Rashford. And obviously, anyone that's watched the podcast before will know that I'm not a massive fan of Jack Grealish. But, I mean, he is an option there. Creativity-wise, I will always give Grealish his credit. He's incredible. He's on the floor too often for my liking. He's just, like I said, I don't want to get too much into it after previous episodes. And I think the only other one for me up front, undoubtedly it's got to be Harry Kane. And as a backup, I would say Patrick Bamford after the season he's had. The issue is Bamford and Kane are very different attacking strikers. Both got scoring goals. Kane is an out-and-out striker. Bamford is as well, but the way Bamford does it is he gets in behind, he controls the possession, he takes the chances. He's a right place, right time striker as Bamford. And it works. If you've got the players that can get the ball into him, it works. Where Kane is the kind of player who he'll sort of create, not that Bamford can't, but Kane will more often create the space for himself and go with it. Where Bamford, I mean, we've seen before, he managed to get God knows how through the legs of 4 Villa players and absolutely have the pants down and score an unbelievable goal. So, I mean, he can do it on his day, but I think, yeah, you've got to go with Harry Kane up there up front for me. We know how good Harry Kane is, and even the assist he scored the other night against Albania. The assist he fed in, sorry, not scored. The assist he had. The header was great, and then his assist was brilliant for an out-and-out striker. An assist like that is always good to see. So, yeah, it'd have to be that for me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm going to be United biased a bit here and take Marcus Rashford just because I think he's the best at that position. I mean, his numbers speak for themselves this year. I mean, I don't recall his stats exactly, but I mean, yes, he hasn't showed up in a lot of games. He hasn't been there all the time, but his passing play has been great. His movement's been fantastic, and he's just the numbers speak for themselves. He has double-digit, I think, in both assists and goals. He's just behind. He's almost scored 50 goals under all goals. Holy man, Mike, I can't speak right now. Solskjaer, and he's been fantastic lately. And I mean, besides injuries, if he's healthy, that's my opinion. Because if you never know right now with Rashford. He's been playing through so many injuries, ankle injuries, shoulder injuries, and Solskjaer just hasn't given him a rest, which I think is wrong. Because I mean, you got other players you could be playing, but yeah, if Rashford's healthy, play him. If not, Grealish or Foden can step right in there. I don't think you'd see a difference. Or you got Sterling who can play right or left wing. But I mean, Kane, I don't really need to talk about him. Kane's Kane. He's got to start. He's got to play. You got DCL behind him. You got Bamford. Bamford has to come, in my opinion. I don't know why Ollie Watkins is on that plane or even near that plane.
Don't get me started.
He shouldn't have a passport, in my opinion. But and then on the right wing, I'm gonna say Jadon Sancho. I think his numbers speak for themselves this year. I'm gonna bring them up for you quickly, and I want to see what you have to say about them because you were hard Sterling over Sancho here, which I thought was interesting. Because I'm a big Sancho lover, and I want to see what you have to say about his stats here. If you can see them there, yeah, he has 12 goals and 16 assists in 31 matches this year in the Bundesliga. What do you think about that?
Like I said, he is an incredible player, and I won't take it away from him. I just think Sterling is a little bit better at it. I mean, I'm a big Sterling critic on his day as well, and I will say it. I do think Sancho should have a call-up, and he should at least be on that bench. He should be there's no other sort of right wing that should be up there apart from Sterling and Sancho. Your main two, obviously, we've touched on. I mean, Rashford can play that position, Foden can play that position, but I'm going to sort of leave them out of it because I know they've got their other positions. But I do think, I think, like I said, the only thing for me is just I want to see Sancho do it in the Premier League. We all know, he was good in the Prem before, and now he's gone over to Germany. But, I mean, I'll always say it. For me, take away Bayern and take away Dortmund, and there's not a lot of competition in that league. I mean, we've got Leipzig and we've got a couple of other teams, but I feel like they are the two big competitors in Bundesliga. And I'm not having a go at any other teams. There is, obviously, we've seen before, Dortmund will get beat very regularly by just random teams. But I feel like the two big teams. It's like, obviously, if you said Man City and Man United are the top of the Premier League now, Man United aren't closely followed behind. Like, Man United, they got beat by Sheffield. Do you know what I mean? Like, so anyone can beat anyone. But I want to see Sancho do it in the Premier League again. I feel like that's the hardest league for anyone to prove their worth in, is the Premier League. So if we see him do it there, no doubt he can be better than Sterling if he wants to be. I feel like he has just got to prove it a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've given us a perfect segue into our next topic, the Premier League standings, what we think is going to happen at the end of the season, our top four, our Europa League standings, and who we think is going to get relegated. And we'll talk about that just right after the break, right after this. Okay, well, to end off this week's show, I mean, it's an international break. We don't really have too many games to talk about. We talked about England. It's kind of boring to talk about the World Cup qualifying since it's still so far away. I mean, once Euros come, international is going to get better. But we'll wrap the show up by talking about who we think is going to get top four, our Europa League predictions, and our relegation predictions. And, I mean, I'll pull up the standings here, but what do you think is going to happen here for top four?
I can see it staying the way it is. Obviously, I've said this for a few weeks now. No one's getting that top spot off Man City. I mean, the table shows to itself. They're so far ahead. The goals scored, the goal difference, everything is just ridiculously better than any other team at the minute. I feel like they're the best team in the league by a long shot. You see there, so I'll touch on it now. I've said it, but just for anyone that wants me to say it actually out loud, the goal difference is 43 goals. They've only conceded 21 goals all season, which is just incredible. I mean, it proves that they're not unbeatable. We can see there they've lost 3 games, but Liverpool weren't unbeatable when they were in that top season. It's mental to think. I feel like Leicester could just nick that spot off Man United, sorry.
Man City.
Not City. I feel like Leicester. The only thing is I feel like Man United maybe got a little bit of an easier run in the next few games to keep form. Although saying that Brighton are fighting to sort of stay out of the relegation area, so it's not going to be easy. But I feel like we can see there, Leicester's next game is Man City. It will be an incredible game.
Yeah,
but it'll be a tough game for both teams. I would personally, as a Leeds fan, like to see Leicester take that spot off Man United. But I won't say it's impossible. Leicester have got more wins than Man United so far in the games they've played. They're both a game behind City. City have played an extra game than them, so the points are there. Man United just seem to they seem to keep a little bit more consistency in not losing than Leicester do. But we can see they both scored the same. Both conceded the same amount of goals. There's only 3 goals in the amount they've scored. I think they're very even teams to compare, to be fair, at the minute. The form they can find and the way they can, maybe not so much the way they can play, but where they are in the league, how they're doing, they're very easy to compare. So I feel like Chelsea will have that 4th spot, Man City will have that 1st, and it's just and ahhing which will be between 2nd and 3rd. I'd like to see Leicester nick it off Man United, but I wouldn't be surprised if Man United keep that 2nd spot.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, the only chance I'll ever have of saying we're going to win the league is if somehow Leicester pound Man City or somehow pull off a 1-0, and then we beat Brighton and then we had closed the gap, which would be very interesting. But, I mean, I don't see a title race happening here. I see City winning the league by quite a distance, running away with it. I see United holding 2nd somehow, which somehow, I don't know if we're going to keep scoring or what's going to happen here with Rashford out injured, because Martial just can't cut it lately. I think Leicester look fantastic team. Like hopefully this City loss they're going to take can slow them down, because as a United fan, I'm scared after a loss of them in the FA Cup. But I think 4th place and Europa League is the interesting spot here. I mean, West Ham are only 2 points behind Chelsea to make the Champions League. This is like West Ham of old here. Do you think I mean, you said before that you think this Final Four is staying the same. Do you think even Tottenham, they're only 3 points back of Chelsea, and Jose Mourinho's having a terrible year? I mean, some say, but like Jose Mourinho said, let the master speak. and don't judge the master. What do you think here? You think Jose Mourinho or West Ham's going to have something to say about that final spot?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love for West Ham to take it off Chelsea. I'm not a fan of Chelsea at all. I would love to see them take it off him. The only thing is Chelsea, let's be honest, they have got the better squad. Not to say anything against West Ham. I think Chelsea, it speaks for themselves. They have got the better squad, and it's what David Moyes has done this season is incredible. It's just, can he keep up with it? Are they going to tire? It's the first season where they've been really good like this at West Ham in a while. I do think Jose will nick that Europa spot. So it's just, I do feel Jose Mourinho will get the Europa spot. I feel like it could be between West Ham and Chelsea for that Champions League. I can just see West Ham dropping off a little bit of form. That's just personally. I don't know. Like we said before, anything can happen. But
yeah, exactly. I mean, and like you said, anything can happen. Football's football on its day. Like, who thought Arsenal were going to come back from that game against West Ham there? I mean, like, on its day, anything can happen. Like, West Ham are playing Wolves, who are really mid-table mediocrity right now. Wolves don't have anything to play for. They're here. They're just in the table. They're just with you guys back in the middle of the pack. And realistically, West Ham could beat them quite comfortably. And Chelsea are playing West Brom, which, who knows, West Brom might turn up and fight. They're in relegation, but probably going down. And West Ham could take the jump on them. And Tottenham, you can't tell Jose Mourinho, especially when he has Heung-min Son and Harry Kane and Gareth Bale when he feels like taking off his golf cleats and putting on his football cleats. But I don't know. It's going to be an interesting race for the Final Four here because, we're even leaving out Liverpool and Everton, who are only.
I was just going to throw that in.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially Everton. If we look there, Everton have got 2 games left to play until they're up there with Man City. If other results go their way, Everton could realistically jump up into that 4th place right now. Likelihood of it happening is slim because of the way other results would have to fall from, but it's possible. Everton could literally jump up into that 4th place in 2 games. Villa could jump up into that 5th place. Is it 5th or 6th? Sorry. But Villa could jump up there. Yeah. So, the league's still to play for. And this is the thing. Teams have got to just not switch off now, because if they switch off, this is where it'll go downhill. Chelsea aren't in a safe spot right now. I think the only 2 teams that are sort of I feel like your 3 teams. I feel like your top 3 have got Champions League knuckled down. I feel like that 4th spot for Champions League and that Europa League spot are still all to play for. Theoretically, Leeds United could still make Europa League. I don't think we'll do it, and that's as a Leeds fan. But theoretically, it can still happen. We're 10 points behind, but if results go your way, it can happen. Will it happen? No. But that spot's still there. I feel like Aston Villa and Everton could really upset a few people in the results if they go their way.
I mean, if I was any team right now, everyone's like, oh, we got to play mid-table teams. But I'm looking at this, you're looking at mid-table right now. I'll scroll down a bit, but you see Aston Villa, you see Leeds, Arsenal, Wolves, Southampton. On their day, Leeds I don't see as a mid-table team. Leeds can beat anybody when they feel like it. It's just how their fitness is, how tired they are, what the mentality is. But Leeds can beat whoever they want when they want, as we've seen against Liverpool, Man City, United, so on. But it just depends on their day. Arsenal, like we saw against West Ham. First half, they don't show up. Second half, they're playing. And then you still got teams like Crystal Palace. Wilfred Zaha can win you a game. Wolves, you still got some fantastic players with Nuno Espirito Santos. So good luck beating them. And Southampton, you still got Danny Ings, Che Adams. Burnley you can beat. It's Burnley. But some of those mid-table teams, people always say, yeah, you're going to beat them. But it's so tight to call down there. So it's going to be tough to play with some of those mid-table teams. But here's the relegation battle. We saw Brighton absolutely slap up Newcastle the other week and win 3-0, which kind of puts them a bit of a distance now outside of relegation. And Brighton's going to United this week. You have Newcastle going to play Tottenham, and Fulham play Villa. The bottom 6 right now is in a mess for their next game, really. United, Tottenham, Villa, Chelsea, and you guys for Sheffield. Well, Sheffield have no hope realistically, so you guys are going to probably have a battering on your hands, hopefully for you guys. But what do you think is going to happen here for relegation battle?
I mean, I know you touched on us against Sheffield there. I mean, realistically, yeah, we should be banging them past Sheffield. But now, I touched on it in the last episode. Heckingbottom's just come in as the manager. He's an ex-Leeds United manager. Leeds United, unfortunately, do not have a good record when we play ex-managers. I am hopeful because it's Sheffield. But Sheffield have also proven, look at where they are. One of those 4 wins they've got are against Man United. So, I mean, and look at where Man United are in the table. So it's hard to say. Burnley, they're still... Realistically, Burnley is still within a chance of being relegated if they don't pick the pace up. And I touched on it the other week. I feel like Burnley's squad is very comparable to West Ham's. They just don't do well with it. I would say West Ham edge it, and they do have a better squad, but I feel like Burnley's most comparable squad in that league are West Ham, is a personal opinion. But I do think what it's showing there is hopefully how we'll see the season end up. My grandma's a Newcastle fan, so for her sake, I wouldn't want to see Newcastle go down. I'm happy seeing Sheffield go down as a Leeds fan, and West Brom and Fulham. And it's West Brom, I feel like they've got a hard... Your bottom 2 aren't making it out of that zone. Obviously, we've said, yeah, it is theoretically possible. West Brom and Sheffield aren't making it out. Your tough one is those top 5 there. Fulham, Newcastle, Brighton, Burnley, Southampton. I don't think Southampton will go down. On their day, they are an incredible team. They just don't have them days enough. Where we've seen they can beat Liverpool at Anfield and then the next day get beat 9-0 by Man City or Man United or Leicester or whoever they decide it wants to be this time round. I feel like Burnley are going to be pretty comfortable, but I mean, they're only a point behind in front of Brighton. It's a hard one to say. But I feel like the ones that are really in the worry, your main battle going on there is Brighton, Newcastle and Fulham. I do think it'll be Fulham goes down, but you can't write it off yet. Newcastle, the team they've got shouldn't be where they are. They should never. They should be a mid-table team comfortably. Newcastle, with the squad they have, shouldn't be there. Whether it's Steve Bruce, whether it's Mike Ashley, nobody's going to know. But they shouldn't be there. Brighton should be there. I feel like Brighton don't have a great squad. They could have made a bit of money and sold Ben White to Leeds United. I'd have been happy about it. Brighton would have had a bit more money to get a few better players for themselves, but they didn't. They just kept ranking the price of Ben White up until they were asking for stupid money. So it didn't happen. But yeah, it's, apart from West Brom and Sheffield, I feel like all the rest of the teams there are still in a little bit of danger right now.
I mean, I think I completely agree. Besides the Newcastle thing, I mean, if it's Mike Ashley or Steve Bruce, I think it's both of them. They're both awful. Steve Bruce, I mean, I was listening to the kickoff the other day, and they said Steve Bruce has 3 wins in his last 20 games. Like, that's absolutely awful. Like, if they stay up and they have 3 wins in 20 games, that's embarrassing. Like, without Callum Wilson's goals earlier in the year, I think they would be down already with Sheffield, sadly, because he's the only reason they're up there. I think if he was healthy, he's a shoo-in for the England team, how he was playing. I think he just feels terrible that he chose Newcastle over Aston Villa these days. I think he probably wishes he took Aston Villa and let Ollie Watkins go to Newcastle. But, I mean, I'd love to see Newcastle go up or stay up. Personally, I want Brighton to go down, but after Newcastle got slapped by them, I can't see that happening now, sadly. But I think we're going to see a flip-flop here, and I think Newcastle's going down and Fulham are going to somehow squeak it. I mean, Fulham can just play a little bit of football in their day when they want. Scott Parker got a compliment from Pep Guardiola and said he actually plays some football. He doesn't just sit back and play it. I mean, when he goes ahead, of course you're going to sit back. Like any team is going to do, you're going to sit back like you're bottom of the table, like they did against Liverpool there. Of course you're going to sit back against Liverpool. But, yeah, they play some nice stuff out of the back. Fulham's got what it takes, and I think they can jump Newcastle with how bad Newcastle's form has been. As we see their last 5 games, Newcastle don't have a win, which is embarrassing. 3 draws, 2 losses, and you're going up against Tottenham next, which is really that's a loss. I mean, how bad Tottenham have been. You're going against Newcastle. It's a loss. I think the telling thing is here, Newcastle's a terrible run-in for the schedule, and Fulham has a pretty good mid-table run-in. They play like Burnley, Southampton, Arsenal, teams like that. And I think the telling game is Fulham plays Newcastle on the last game of the season, which is realistically, I think, is going to be down. Everyone's usually like, oh, let's watch the Premier League title game last game of the season. I want to see the Premier League relegation game last game of the season.
It's always a better game. They always fight for it more.
Oh, exactly. Crunching tackles, more goals. I mean, if there's an early goal, they're going to sit behind. But Fulham, Newcastle, last game of the season, what's your score?
It's hard. I feel like it all depends on who gets the first goal. If Newcastle get the first goal, Newcastle, I feel like they will push for more. Where I feel like if Fulham get the first goal, they will sit back and defend. Yeah. And that's where you have your issues. I feel like if Newcastle get the first goal, I feel like it'll be a 2-1 or a 3-2 to Newcastle. I feel like they won't edge it by much. 2-1, 3-1 or 3-2. It'll only be a goal in it, I feel, more likely. I feel if Fulham get the first goal, I wouldn't be surprised if it went to penalties because the way Newcastle attack when they want to. If it really does come down to the wire, it's going to be a really interesting game to watch. It's just who gets the first goal. Newcastle will leave themselves open a little bit more than Fulham will if they get the first goal, I feel. And that's what's going to bring it down. But I feel if Fulham get that first goal, they'll sit behind, and it then goes down to how good Newcastle can be off that ball. And we know if Callum Wilson's on form, Almiron, Joe Linton, if they're all out of injury and on form, they've got a great up front. It's just they're all injury prone and off form. I'd love to say I could feel Newcastle potentially like they've got a game in hand against Fulham, and I think that's going to play to their advantage. But then that game in hand right now is Tottenham. And Tottenham are on a losing streak, and I've got a feeling Jose Mourinho will be pushing his players a little bit more than they're going to get pushed at Newcastle. But, I mean, you never know. Like I said earlier, we saw Southampton get railed by every team going and then beat Liverpool. Newcastle could do the same. They're on a poor run of form, but all it takes is one game to get back up. Tottenham can be very easily beatable if they haven't come out with that intention to really win. It's going to be an interesting one. I as a fan for my grandma, I hope it doesn't come down to the wire, and I hope Newcastle manage to scrape it away. But as a generic Premier League fan, it'd be amazing if it came down to that last game. Oh. I think it'd be a great. It's always a more enjoyable game to watch because they don't play like Premier League teams. They play like teams that want to be in the Premier League. And I've said this for a while. Sometimes in the Championship, you can sometimes get teams fighting for it because every game means so much more. There's so much more to play for. In the Premier League, unless you've got money, you're not really, apart from like West Ham I've done this season, you're not playing for anything spectacular. You just survive in the league, building your way up and then going for it. Where if you're in the Championship, you got the 3 lots in relegation, you got the 2 automatic promotions, you got the playoffs. There's so much more to fight for, and it makes it sometimes a more interesting league to watch. And I feel like that's what a Newcastle Fulham, if it comes down to the wire, that's what the game will come out like. It'd be like a playoff final, essentially. One team will stay up and one team will go down. And it'd be a great game to watch.
I mean, I can't disagree with you. I mean, it's going to be like the championship final in the championship, obviously. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. I mean, I hope it doesn't – I mean, football fan, I'd love to see it come down to that. But if you're a Fulham or Newcastle fan, you really don't want to see that happen. Fans are gonna have heart attacks. It's gonna be a nuts game. I mean, Newcastle, Fulham. For your grandma's sake, I really hope it doesn't happen because that game is gonna be intense and too many goals to predict what's gonna really happen. And it's gonna be like that day where United lost on the final game of the season to City because of goals for and goals against, but this is just going to be like a goal fest. I think this game it's going to be crazy to see. But I mean, I think that's all for this week's episode of Off the Pitch. I mean, thank you everybody for tuning in, and thank you everyone for watching last week. It's been fantastic, and next week we're going to have some more Premier League action and no more international boring football to talk about like we've been doing. And we're going to have some fun games to talk about, and we'll talk about them next week. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.